Tucker, and this is WPwatercooler's WPblab episode number 132. Today's topic is how to do marketing for your WordCamp. I'm Jason Tucker. Bridget's actually out on assignment today, so she's not going to be hanging out with us, but I did bring two awesome people on the show today. Actually, both of you been recently on WPwatercooler, so
I've recently been on it.
Well, no. Chris has recently been on it, but stays on this every week. But before we get into doing introductions and everything, I just want to let you know that this particular episode of WPwatercooler is brought to you by ServerPress, makers of desktop server. Be sure to go check them out over at serverpress.com. And also at the 45-minute mark, we'll be talking about Kinsta and all the stuff that they're doing over there. So one last thing, if you're interested in doing any type of sponsorships for this show or even for WPwatercooler, you can go over to our sponsor page at wpwatercooler.com/sponsor. That's where you can learn about how to sponsor on our shows. All right.
Definitely sponsor Water.
I paid the bills at this point. I'm Jason Tucker. You can find me at Jason Tucker on Twitter. My website is jasontucker.blog. And if you're interested in any of the types of things that we have going on here, this is our sponsor Kinsta. Feel free to go take a look at them.
Oh wait,
and we're also ServerPress. You can take a look at their stuff too. So let's introduce ourselves real quick. How about you, Chris? Tell us a little about yourself.
Hello, my name is Christiana. My nickname is Chris. I'm the lead organizer for WordCamp Long Beach 2019. And I also am the friendly face and money person for Los Angeles WordPress Meetup.
Awesome. Hey. Good to have you on. Say, how about you? And you have to do a different intro than what you normally do on Watercooler. How about that?
Oh, yeah. Challenge.
I'm just like pushing that on me like right now.
Because I like breaking you every once in a while, you know?
Like breaking me? All right. Who am I? Well, let's do this like in order. My name's Say. Hi, Say Reed. I'm at Say Reed Media on Twitter. And I am I'm a bunch of wranglers for WordCamp Long Beach. I'm stuttering through this. It's painful.
I know, it's awesome.
I'm publicity wrangler and venue wrangler and co-speaker wrangler. Is there something else? After wrangler. Yeah.
After party.
So I'm doing a lot of wrangling. And then I also make WordPress t-shirts. I make WordPress sites and I advise clients. I am a digital strategist and a reformed web developer. Retired. I would like to say retired, but just really like I'm a reluctant web developer, although I'm not a programmer, I would say. I don't know how to define myself anymore.
That's all right.
I'm pro WordPress and anti-pain. Okay, I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
That's cool.
Can we stop this madness?
Yeah. So let's start off a little bit on like. So the idea of this particular topic is marketing your WordPress or your WordCamp. And so how do you go about starting this World WordCamp? Because you guys you're starting from scratch. So this is just like
Yes. It's very scratch.
You don't have anything to really base this off of other than maybe with some stuff going on with maybe WordCamp LA, maybe WordCamp Orange County. You've been to WordCamps. You've seen how like the consumer side of WordCamps are. But now you're managing it. You're running it. You're doing all this stuff with it. Where did that part start? And then I also want to ask you about like the people that are involved in it and that sort of thing, so we can kind of define roles and all of that.
You asked so many more questions already.
How did it start?
I don't even know what's happening.
So actually, this wasn't my idea. I'm lead, but this wasn't my idea. This idea has been around for a while. What?
Did you say you're a Libra?
Nope, I am lead. I'm actually Sagittarius, but I don't think it matters.
You're lead, but I see.
Lead butts. But this wasn't. I'm not going to take the credit for this idea because it wasn't mine. It was actually Leo Postavoit's idea. He'd had this idea for a while. Like he started talking about it last year, I think, possibly the year before. He and I co-founded the Long Beach chapter of Los Angeles WordPress meetup, and we started that chapter from scratch. In Long Beach, because like LA had downtown, Hollywood, Santa Monica, whatever. So he wanted to do a WordCamp in Long Beach for a while, and it didn't really become. It wasn't like really viable. It couldn't happen before this year. So this is the first year when. So at this point, when we applied this spring, 2018, and we had been doing the meetup in Long Beach for over a year, and we had a solid group of people that we knew well. And at that point, I'd met Sarah, who's our website designer, website developer. I'd met her. She runs the Orange County Design Meetup in Huntington Beach. Yeah, Sarah. And I'd met Renee, and she's our volunteer and dinner wrangler, and she'd come and visited our meetup once. And Leo had told me about Say and how she's like super competent. And then eventually we got Alex Vasquez on our team, and he's our sponsor wrangler and a speaker co-wrangler and safety wrangler. So Alex, Sarah, Say, and Renee have all been WordCamp organizers before.
Well, I organized the after party for WordCamp LA, but I didn't go to any meetings, and I didn't really participate at all.
Surprise! Welcome to meetings all the time.
Yeah, like, who's this person and why is she running things? I don't understand. We're showing up at her after party that may or may not be sanctioned. We'll see.
No, I throw great after parties, and they were like, hey, you want to do the after parties? And I was like, do I have to go to meetings? And they're like, no. And I was like, no problem, I'll do the after party. I did 3 of them, and they were like, just let Say handle it. She's doing it. It's cool. That was actually mostly with Alex. He was like my point person, and they just trusted me, which was nice. They're like, here's your budget. And I was like, cool, here's what's happening. But so I definitely was not involved. Wasn't involved in the team dynamics. I was not involved in the meetings. I didn't have anything to do with raising money. I just planned the party.
All right.
They were great parties, but I just wanted different.
And now Say has more Wrangler rules than all of us combined. Now she's doing so much. So
pain. So I just want to differentiate, because the difference in being an organizer and being an organizer is different.
So when you're starting off with all this, now you've defined the roles, or as you've kind of started working on this, you started acquiring roles that you're going to be doing.
Oh no, you don't understand. I signed people roles from the beginning because I'm that sort of person. 9 of them, so. Well, that was mostly accidental.
It didn't start that way.
No, it didn't start that way. Everybody had 2. Everybody had like 2 focuses, and then you had like one other person to work with on whatever. There used to be 16 of us, and now there's 10. So, all right. And then roles kind of like attrition, and then there's like roles kind of multiplied, because all of a sudden we were like, oh, we should probably have someone just manage just tickets. So that just became a thing, and then like just grew.
Yeah. So now that you figured all those pieces out, and you figured out a date, which is always the hard part, and you figured out a venue. So at this point, you know where you're doing this, you know when you're doing this. Now you need to start sending out invites, and you need to start telling people like this thing's happening. So, when you're building this out, you need to get that website going quickly. You need to start telling people, I need sponsors, I need speakers, I need like all this sort of thing. What's the order in which you kind of went about doing that?
So the first thing we had to do is to make sure that we knew what our visual theme and like our general theme was, right? Because without a theme, you can't do much. So we have a really good graphic designer and illustrator named David Nuon, and he is a fantastic drawer. So he was drawing a lot of conceptual stuff from the very beginning. Drawer. Have you seen that 30 Rock episode where Jenna's in the movie Rural Drawer? Did you ever watch 30 Rock? Yeah. The Rural Drawer. Yeah. So Rural Drawer. So David is a drawer, and
he's the David Drawer.
David Drawer. Yes. And he drew our logo pretty early on. He was starting to draw conceptual stuff for our WAPU and for graphics early on, and we decided pretty early on what we wanted the look to be. And then Sarah
on the port, right? Because like that's part of Long Beach is like that we're a port, and we all kind of gelled around the concept of the containers, right? I don't know if you've seen the port. You drive around.
Oh yeah.
So they're containers, and that's a short mental hop to blocks, and all the different blocks and stuff. So we're like, blocks, containers, and everyone's like, that's perfect. Because it's a big, even though it may not, we're not shipyard people or anything, but like it's a big part of Long Beach. Like literally, physically, it's a big part of.
Oh yeah.
But also it's just like part of our, our identity as a city. We had talked about having the event on the Queen Mary, but there were some accessibility issues. Plus, it's hella expensive. But that would be cool because that's a big part of Long Beach's identity too. So we really wanted to stay in line with that. And actually, you asked earlier, are we LBC or are we LB? And that was a whole discussion that we had to have. Like, who are we, and who can we accurately represent of Long Beach? Because we don't want to misrepresent ourselves. There's a lot of diversity in Long Beach, and there are a lot of different cultures here, we're like one of the most diverse cities in the country. But we also wanted to be authentic and not appropriate. I'm big on that also in general. And
Definitely.
So we made a conscious choice as a team to be WordCamp Long Beach, WCLB, and not WCLBLBC. Even though that's a Long Beach thing, but that didn't really represent who the team was, and so we had to make that choice. So that's a marketing choice too. That's a branding choice in terms of how we're putting ourselves out there.
Yeah, because I mean, once you've established that rule set, then it's like you're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. You know what colors you're supposed to use. What the all of those types of pieces for when you're doing your campaigns and doing all of that fun stuff. So
we didn't go Sublime. We didn't go Snoop Dogg. There's a lot of culture here, but we decided to just really stick with something that was like with the port. And so that gave it through like the cutest. We have really cute stickers.
Mm-hmm.
They're
the best. They're awesome.
You just come for the stickers, if nothing else. Stickers are usually kind of a throwaway. You're like, oh, whatever, stickers. But these are actually like, I don't want to. Should we give it away? You like build your own little ship anyway.
Oh, that's cool.
They're real cute.
Yep.
It's like the in and out thing where you have the little pieces the little puzzle pieces that you put together. That's fun.
Yep. Yeah, so from the very beginning, David, who's a great artist, and all of us are like, their whole team is very visual. Like almost all of us have some sort of design slant to us. So we've got photographers in our midst. So from the very beginning, we were talking about the port, blocks, Gutenberg blocks, containers, containment, WordPress being the port to the wider internet, all this stuff, right? And then we were inspired by the streamlined, modern architecture and Art Deco architecture of Long Beach, because there's tons of beautiful historic architecture. It's like 100 plus years old. And so we have a lot of that inspire us. So, and we've got like really bold, bright colors, because Art Deco often is like wedding cake. It's like kind of subdued colors. So we just made it brighter. We made it brighter and bolder. And when Sarah put together the site, we had a pretty solid understanding of what we were going for, who we wanted to attract, what kind of, we're starting to think about what kind of talks we wanted to do and all that stuff. And those conversations were already happening in the background, right? And then the first thing when we pushed out the calls, because traditionally you have a call for sponsors, volunteers, and speakers, right? Mm-hmm. And you have an announcement saying like, oh, we exist. So the first call we pushed out was sponsors, and that was actually something that our mentor, Cami Chaos, so our mentor from, the Lords of WordPress on high, she was like, you should first, I hope she doesn't get upset that I said that, but hello, Cami. So she said the first call you should put out is sponsors because you need many, right? Because like WordCamps have to fundraise part of it themselves. Some of it comes from global sponsors. Some of it comes from accessibility grants, and some of it comes from ticket sales. So the first thing we did was we asked for sponsor money, and then we asked for volunteers, and then we pushed out our call for speakers. And then in between all that, in between our announcements and our news, and when we're like, oh, we've got publicity, blah, 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 right? Like, we also have Explore Long Beach posts about the architecture, about the wilderness, about the aquarium, about where to eat, where to stay, stuff to do. So we splice together the stuff that's like super important, like asking for money, with the stuff that's like, oh, look at these octopus in the Long Beach aquarium. Oh, they're so cool and purple. It all goes together.
And you can also
That's cool.
eat them at stupid places.
What?
You can eat octopuses.
That's octopi.
Octopi. Because we have the restaurants, so we'll tell you we'll see the octopi
sure.
and where to go eat them.
Exactly. So we have a content calendar, and we mapped it all out, and it works together with our general calendar. So we map all of our projects out and all the different things that we do, and it all goes together like that.
And so how are you looking at those to either figure out, I have a blog post now that's on the site. Now I need to promote it on this place, and this place. Are you blasting it all out at the same time? Are you scheduling it out using like Buffer? Are you scheduling it out using Hootsuite? Or like, what's your secret sauce there of kind of pushing that content out?
Me.
So
I'm the secret sauce.
You're the secret sauce.
I'm the secret sauce.
Yeah.
So they're all organic everythings is what you're saying. You're organically tweeting it. You're putting it onto Facebook. You're putting on all those pieces.
Yeah. I'm at my computer a lot. But the thing is that also I think that stuff really is way more interesting than just, so here's the deal, right? We started from scratch. We have like not a lot of followers on our Twitter. As I say to Jason, who just followed the WordCamp Long Beach.
I'm about to retweet something right now too.
So putting out a bunch of tweets to those, at the time, 30 people, like that doesn't, who are we yelling at with that? You know what I mean? Like that wasn't really, there was no audience that existed whatsoever. Like I literally created all of the accounts from scratch. So a lot of it was me going and like doing some, I'm not really the biggest fan of the follow strategy. But in this case, that was the strategy I had to implement because we needed follows and there was no way to like kind of go get them other than to go follow people. And so I pulled all of my own list, your list, WPwatercooler list, just like all the different lists. And, basically following a lot of the people that I knew in WordPress, and like I like followed all the WordCamps and like really this again, it's not a strategy that I'm like a super big fan of, but like
sure,
like that's the thing, right? You always have to implement the strategy that works for the situation. Isn't always going to be your favorite strategy. So just starting out from scratch, and then now we're up to, I don't know, with your last follow, I don't know what we're up to now.
Woohoo! We're getting big.
We're getting big. 84 followers. That's an audience. So we've gone from 0 to 84 in like 3 weeks, which hey, isn't actually.
That's pretty good. I mean, that's how it was like when
Who's following a WordCamp account necessarily? Like that's not like the most exciting follow. And of course, the predominant social network of WordPress is Twitter. So it's like really about like how do you you're like, hey, we're WordCamp, we're over here yelling at nobody. So I didn't want to implement we're just posting this stuff out all the time. You know what I mean? We're not WordCamp Orange County that's had this for 5 years, and we need to continually remind our audience there is no audience. So that was the main challenge. And same thing on Facebook. You can only spam so much in all the different groups and be like, follow this account or here's the event. So that actually wasn't a real challenge for a first year camp because our WordPress meetup isn't that large, right? We're part of a much larger community in LA. But like I've never even been to WordPress Long Beach meetup.
Yay! Say woo!
I just kept telling Leo, when there's a WordCamp, you call me and I'll do it, because there can't be a WordCamp in Long Beach I'm not participating in. Obviously, I'll participate in that, but I'm not going to a meetup anymore. I had my fill of them. But so that was the real challenge that we faced in terms of like how do we build that audience from scratch? So I've been employing a bit of an unorthodox strategy to get people to follow things. This week was my favorite, though. Is this the time I can talk about my absolute favorite tweets in the world? My world's best tweet. So this week I employed the fun strategy of this wasn't like too intentional. I just had a song in my head and decided to go with it. So I made parody tweets of a couple songs. I'm gonna do a couple. I'm thinking about doing a couple more tomorrow. Just like final.
Well, and your background is in that, being part of a band and doing all the things with that, and just silly fun songs.
As like being the next Weird Al Yankovic. I really do. I write parody songs all the time just for myself. So this was like kind of like a way to get it out of my system. The first one I did, though, it was great because it's Bob Dylan's "Knocking on Heaven's Door," which I guess was covered by Guns N' Roses later. Did not know that. But my favorite part about that is that instead of it says, "Mama, take my badge from me," and I did Photomat instead of "Mama," which just makes I think that's hilarious.
That's good.
Like WordPress's "Mama." That one, I don't know if that's going to be. But I hope people realize that's the word I was substituting. If you know, right. Do. But anyway, so things like that, they get a little bit more attention than just like WordCamp Long Beach Call for Speakers is happening, and which is like, it's there, but like it's not really promoting engagement. It's not really promoting any like retweets. And in order to get any amplification on the feed, you have to get engagement. You have to get likes. You have to get retweets. You have to get comments. Otherwise, with like 50 to 60 followers that are mostly like WordCamps and just random people, like you're not showing up anywhere. You know what I mean?
Well, and you have those follow bots that like you even put the word WordPress someplace and 3 seconds later there's a follow bot that's like retweeting you, copying you, changing this.
We haven't.
Oh my gosh.
It's a pretty authentic list.
It's real people. Real humans.
People. There are a lot of WordCamps. Like the first bunch of it was like WordCamps following me back. I was like, oh, thanks, other WordCamps. I guess I can feel each other's pain. What was that subscribe button? You're just flushing.
I accidentally clicked something.
Oh, okay. I'm like, don't get me. Anyway, so that was been really fun because I do a lot of like strategy and advisement. So like in my professional life on people's existing accounts, but there's not a lot of starting from scratch. And it's really fun to do that and think about different ways to do that for something that's kind of a boring account or something that's like it's kind of like it's almost selling something because you're like, come do this speaker, come do this. It's not like a person. It's not. It's just not. There's no like built-in engagement there. It's just like it could just be retweeting and scheduled stuff. So
and you have multiple events. You have multiple events that you're targeting. It's like I need speakers by this time. I need sponsors by this time. I need this by this time. So you have those, but then you also have like the main event, and then I'd imagine at some point you're probably going to talk about the speakers and talk about the sponsors.
The main event will be a lot easier because then we actually have something to promote. We have people to tag. We are promoting content and stuff like that. But like right now, if we're promoting content about a camp that no one knows about, it's like, what are you even doing? You know what I mean? Like, who are you talking to? So it's really interesting when it's really a dilemma actually, because where do you publicize WordCamps, right? It's like Facebook groups, which I have noticed recently in general in my own existence in them, but also now I really noticed them because I went to all the different Facebook groups that I've ever joined, like posting in all of them. And I realized that the engagement has gone so much down. So downward.
All the downs.
It's decreased. It is heavily decreased than it was in what I might call its heyday, right? So like in some of the groups, there hadn't been a post in weeks. And those posts have like really light engagement on them. And, you know, who's actually paying attention to these groups? Who's looking at that? Is anyone even on Facebook anymore? I don't actually know the answer to that question.
Even for the Facebook group for WordCamp, or for, what am I saying? For, what am I trying to say? Long Beach meetup, for the Long Beach meetup. So we started that from nothing, right? And in the beginning, we were just like chatting about our favorite video games and how they inspire us and blah, 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 blah. And like people would post stuff, right? And people ask questions and stuff, but like it's got to the point where, because of, like you were saying, the Facebook engagement has decreased over the especially last couple of years. It got to the point where I was encouraging people to write in their questions on projects they needed help with in the group, so we could talk about it besides just meeting every 2 weeks, right? Because a lot of stuff comes up between them. And I said, don't worry, I won't let your little post go naked. I will like put a little heart next to it so you feel like you have somebody paying attention to you. But I had to say that out loud because people didn't want to just like, you know, just post stuff with no engagement. And then, yeah, it sits and it's
empty.
Yeah. People are like, I have a question about a project. And then nobody does anything until I put a little heart. And I'm like, hello, do you need help? You know, like I probably can't help you because I'm not a developer, but you know, maybe I can connect you to somebody, right? Like I am that person. But that was hard. Like saying, how do you publicize something that nobody knows about? We have the Los Angeles WordPress meetup group, which is giant. But most of those people don't live around Long Beach.
Right.
And LA is real big.
What?
Yeah.
LA is real big. And like people are like, you know, people from Orange County are actually, you know, more likely, or, you know, your area of LA County. Well, I don't know even know what you call that area, Whittier area. What do you call that? Is there a name?
It's a gateway city.
Yeah, your gateway. Like, you guys might come down and Orange County and South Bay, but like someone in Hollywood, they're like, they might as well fly to Arizona.
It's true.
Mindset, you know, they're like, I don't know. So like they're not like people, especially on that side of LA or in the Valley. There's a lot of like Long Beach. That's far. I'm not going there. And without a reputation like WordCamp Orange County, even, you know, it's just not necessarily on the radar of a lot of people.
Yeah, I actually had to do, when I was sending out private messages to the meetup people, there's like almost 3,000. And every time I send out a message, we lose 5 to 10 people. And so I have to do it really carefully because I'm like, can we afford to lose 10 people today? Yes, and I hit send. So,
they're like,
sorry, guys.
Unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So I was looking.
Oh my God.
So I was looking on the site here, and I see that you guys have a subscribe box to be able to subscribe to the you know, to your newsletter and getting that stuff going. And then also looking at, you know, apply to speak, be a volunteer, and then sponsor. So you have like those key spots, you know.
Just for record, that's in Gutenberg.
Oh, check you out.
Well, I mean, that's really, it's like basically WordPress.com. I made that. I didn't put the subscribe box there because I kind of want to put that in a shaded box. But anyway.
So when you get to the point where you actually need to start promoting the fact that you're selling tickets, that's your next big jump, right? Is you've already done sponsors, you've already done speakers, you still want sponsors, you still want speakers, but now it's like, okay, now I need to, at some point here, you need to start selling tickets.
Look how pretty it is.
It is. It's
Everyone
great.
should come to it. It's beautiful.
So you guys, you know, say you've always talked about having the, you know, you guys do a lot of stuff with like zines and all that sort of thing. Have you ever thought about doing any of that for this? Like taking
like
a
WordPress theme?
Yeah, like something like that, like a little something that would
two cultures and these two sides of Say, okay? And also, these are the two community events I am organizing right now. So Long Beach Zine Fest is September 8th, Sunday, September 8th, 11 to 5. It's free, all ages. Come on down. And that's like in 2 weeks. And then, Long Beach is October 5th. So these are like, zines are like totally analog, right? Like they're printed.
Right.
A lot of them they're like so low tech. Like not even everyone uses digital. There's a lot of photocopying and tape. Like that's a big part of the zine culture. And then of course you've got WordCamp where everything's digital. I have not merged those two sides of my personalities together in any
I'm just looking at it that there's like perfect opportunity to take something that happens in Long Beach and something that happens that's an analog thing.
These are not necessarily compatible cultures.
No, but how cool would it be to like walk into to WordCamp Long Beach and you're handed a piece of paper that's a zine, that's a thing.
We're putting out programs.
I know.
I've thought often about making a WordPress zine, and I might make a WordPress zine for WordCamp US. I literally have no time to make a zine for WordCamp Beach. But I might make one, and now that you're pushing me to do it, now I'm probably going to do it just to prove to you that I can make zines.
See, Chris, that's how you make it happen. You put her on the spot right during the show.
Controversial as I want. Ooh.
Exactly, right?
But yeah, they're not really super. See, this is what's so interesting about people. Not to take this really big or anything, but there's people who are like super digital, and there's people who are analog, and then there's people like Chris who doesn't even know that zines existed until I was like, "Hey, you heard of zines?" And she's like, I'm gonna like really like zines, aren't I? And I'm like, because they're actually really similar. They're like the idea of self-publishing, the independent nature, like WordPress specifically, not necessarily techies. Like my brother couldn't care less about zines. He's like, that's paper. Right. Get rid of this paper. This is stupid. But like, it's just trash. But the WordPress community, the WordPress ethos of DIY, of building your own thing, of independence, those are really common threads between the two. So it's interesting. I don't know how we got started talking about zines.
It was all me. I was the one that brought it up out of the blue.
I was like, what are you talking about, zines?
When I think paper and I think dead trees and all those things, I think Say Read, because you had all the stuff that was going on with books and all those sorts of things. So I was just trying to figure out how to combine those two together.
Yeah, well, I've been doing a whole marketing campaign for Long Beach Zine Fest too. So I have two simultaneous marketing campaigns happening for volunteer things at the same time. Plus, I'm chair of marketing of NABO Orange County, which is the National Association of Women Business Owners, the Orange County chapter.
Nice.
We've been launching a bunch of programs. So I'm like up to here in marketing of things I'm not being paid to do.
So who's the target audience for WordCamp Long Beach? Because I've heard a lot when you were talking about this during both pre-show as well as during the show on WaterCooler, that this camp sounds like if you're a newbie to WordPress or you have problems in WordPress, like you have like an issue in your WordPress site or whatever, this might be the right spot to go. Like this is the one you should probably go to and start asking your questions because of the way that you guys have structured your tracks and the way that you have a huge happiness bar, whatever you're calling it, type of thing. Can you talk about that a little bit and how you guys are trying to promote that part of it?
Yeah, so early on, we knew that our meetup group, which is over 100 people now in Long Beach itself, we knew they would all show up, right? And a lot of those people are entrepreneurs who just have their own site, or they're learning code now and they're brand new to WordPress. And most people are not seasoned programmers. Most people are not seasoned marketing specialists. And we do have some people with like really advanced skills, but most people have never spoken at a WordCamp, not even attended one. So we knew pretty early on that we would have to make sure that they felt welcome and that they wouldn't feel overwhelmed, and that there would be at least one track for them, right? Like one place for them to go and get help. And our venue has this really cool catering alcove that is right in front of the main doors to the main ballroom. And they always have tables set up there traditionally for catering for lunch, right? Or snacks. And because they've got these like 3 tables set up, since the very beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, we should do a happiness bar here, because if we're not serving lunch, we could have a happiness bar right here in the hallway in the morning and in the afternoon after lunch, and be right front and center. So if you've got that urgent question you need answered, you can go right there. And the way, I'm not on the speaker selection committee, Say's on that with Sarah and Alex, but the speaker team decided pretty early on that on Saturday there would be at least 2 tracks, one for users, like all those entrepreneurs who have their own websites, and then for professionals, like for agencies and freelancers, right, who are building sites for other people, for content specialists, for digital strategists. And there's kind of 2 tracks. So whether or not you're...
There are 2 tracks.
Yes, sorry. There are 2 tracks. They're kind of 2 tracks. They're really separate. So there's 2 tracks, and then Sunday is more philosophical day, but it applies to everybody.
I don't necessarily think Sunday's going to be a huge newbie day.
No.
In fact, the impetus behind Sunday was not to have it be a newbie day, because that kind of gets... a lot of people don't come to that.
Why are you fighting?
I really wanted... People were like, what is this drama? No, I really wanted to give the people who don't need the developers track or the professionals track and don't need the users track a place to go. And so, like, if some of the more seasoned WordPress people just came to Sunday, they'd be that's kind of the impetus behind that. So the user track is because I work with small business owners all the time, and I've sent them at various points to different WordCamps, and they go to these WordCamps and they're like, holy crap, none of that made any sense to me. I don't have any idea what was happening. None of that was for me. Now I feel like I'm so like literally did the opposite of what it was supposed to do in terms of introducing them to WordPress. And I feel a lot of the beginner stuff that people do tend to be beginner developer, not beginner WordPress. And that's a really different thing than a user, right? Users need to understand plugins. They need to know security things. They need to know like tips and tricks for their site. And the professionals aren't just developers. So it really has bothered me that the split is always designer developer. There's like mostly the split that I see. And it's not really made a lot of sense to me in terms of like, who are these people who are actually trying to come here? So I know there's been a lot of users who have come to these sites, people I know individually, but elsewhere, who are just like, man, I don't know, what do I do? And they're not getting the help that they need at the happiness bars or anything, because they're only getting help at happiness bars. So that was kind of the impetus behind the users and the professionals. It's not just about developers. It's not just about, design, because that's not the WordPress community as a whole. It's a lot of users, and then it's a lot of people who are using it for other people, like Chris was saying, and like that is who we're addressing. So there's like people who are like experienced in WordPress, but don't necessarily need to understand how to program the latest thing or like learn about the REST API. Those people have plenty of opportunities to learn about that. But there's no space for like someone who's like super good at WordPress to learn some cool new things, So that was the impetus behind those 2 tracks. And I'm actually really excited about, hopefully we're going to look at speaker applications close tomorrow, and we're going to look at those. And I really am hopeful that some of those are, what you want the tracks to be and what they end up being are not always the same thing. So we'll see where we've got some really interesting speaker applications. I haven't looked at all of them, but some of them are just like not even about WordPress. So that's completely irrelevant. So if you want to apply and you don't want to talk about WordPress, this is not the right conference for you.
Awesome. Well, hey, I'm gonna switch gears real quick here, and we do a thing here called the Tool or Tip of the Week. And so this week's Tool Tip of the Week, and my apologies, Say, for having it right on top of your head, but this week's Tool or Tip of the Week is brought to you by Kinsta. If you're tired of unreliable or slow hosting, check out Kinsta.com, who managed WordPress hosting to the next level. Powered by Google Cloud, all their plans include PHP 7.3, SSH access for developers, one-click staging area, 20 global data centers, free SSL, free CDN, 24-hour support, 24/7 support, and also if you want their expert support to migrate your site free of charge. Go over to their website over at kinsta.com. Thanks. All right, so let's talk about Tool or Tip of the Week. So, you guys are both new to this. I'll start us off, and then you can quickly go and dig through something that you've used recently, maybe a book that you've read, maybe a new website that you've looked at. It could be anything and everything, whatever you're thinking here. So I'm going to start us off real quick, and then one of you two folks can jump in next. So my tool or tip of the week is one called Data Studio, and Data Studio is made by Google, and you can go check it out over at datastudio.google.com. And what I love about Data Studio, and I've been doing a lot of reports lately at my work, I'm trying to take data from one database, data from another database, also data from Google Analytics. I work at a church, so it's about like who's showing up, how long are they staying on the website, what are they doing when they're on there, on a Sunday, what are they doing on there, and all of those sorts of pieces. And so Data Studio
church website
ties all the pieces together and kind of figures it all out. So, say that what?
I want to know, like, that's really interesting, like the difference in where they go during the week and where they go on Sundays. Sundays, like, where are the sermons, what time's the thing, who's managing out there.
Yeah, it's just like if you were to look at the analytics, like I don't know how, I've never done a WordCamp, so I'd imagine there's all sorts of weird stuff that you have to use. That's some jetpack powered something or another to be able to look at the analytics. But if let's just say that you could use Google Analytics on that site. You could look at the analytics during the event, and I'd imagine most of the time people are going to be looking at like your, your schedule to figure out what's going on, or who's the speaker, and start to like dig into that speaker and figure out, is that a good speaker to go check out, or any of that sort of stuff. Well, that kind of is what happens at the church. Is people show up, they're looking on their phones to figure out, hey, what's happening after this, what's happening after that. Should I come next week because maybe they're speaking about this thing or that? There's all sorts of different things that kind of tie into that. And so for me, yeah, right, exactly. So KPIs are huge for us, and just being able to get those key performance indicators to figure it all out. So that's my tour tip of the week. You can go over to datastudio.google.com to go and play around with that. It's totally free, and they have a bunch of really cool things where you can just like literally turn on Google Ads overview, and if you're using Google Ads, you can see how your ads are performing. So who wants to go next, Say or Chris?
Preparing us for this, by the way. Glad I was prepared for the series. I nominate Chris to go next.
Thanks, Say. That's so gracious of you. So,
for you.
Actually, so I'm just going to bring up something that I think is very basic, except I've actually had to teach clients this, so maybe it's not as basic as I think it is. I live in Google Sheets, which I love, and I make a lot of charts and lists and databases of information. And for like WordCamp in particular, we talk on Zoom, and when we have to store complicated information, like not just lists, right? Not just like a couple words here or there. We do everything in Google Drive, and we make a lot of sheets, and we share the sheets with everybody on our team, and you can limit the access. So if you don't want somebody to be touching all the little boxes you're filling in numbers in, you can either have a little warning that pops up that says, hey, are you sure you want to edit this? Which is kind of like saying hands off. Right. Don't touch my little box with my nose. No, don't touch this box. Or you can also just restrict access, right? So I did this in the very beginning when we had 16 organizers, and I wanted to collect a lot of contact information from a lot of people. And so I made sure that everybody could edit the line that their name is on, like all their phone number, email, past, professional history stuff, anything they want us to know, blah, 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 like all this stuff, gender, pronouns, everything.
She asked a lot of questions.
I asked a lot of questions, right?
That's
and so I was like,
be friends. Okay. This data.
Be thorough.
Exactly.
Thorough.
This is a thorough questionnaire. I love it. Yay.
Yep, everything. But I made sure that there's a lot of columns there with a lot of questions. Like I give everybody little info boxes, right? You can put in whatever URLs you wanted to, or past whatever things, your hobbies. But you might accidentally go on the wrong line and manipulate somebody else's information, and that's not good. So I made sure that you could only edit your line, and you don't even have the option to write anything else in another line, right? Because that would be a mistake. So there's all kinds of stuff you can do with Sheets. We use it for our content chart. There's little check boxes you can input in, or you could plug in. It's great. So I actually love it, and everybody should do that.
Awesome. Thanks, Chris, for that.
Well,
what do you think, Say? What do you got?
I got nothing for you.
You got to have a book that you've read, or a TV show that you like, or it could be anything.
The most recent book I read was American Gods by Neil Gaiman. It had nothing to do with it whatsoever, but it's a really good book. So if you want to talk about that book, we can talk about it.
Yeah, please do.
My tip of the week is if you're in Southern California, you should come to Long Beach Seed Fest. And my other tip of the week is that if you know something about WordPress and you're inclined to tell people about it, and you, whether it's for a user or professional, you should apply to speak, because tomorrow's the deadline. So my tip is, you know what? I feel like a lot of people don't apply to WordCamps because they feel like the topic's been done, or no one's interested in that, or it would be a lot of work. And I've been trying to tell a lot of the folks that are, more have been around in WordPress, I was like, just do something easy, something that's easy for you, and not a whole, you have to do a whole research thing. Teach something that's easy that that other people don't know. And so my tip of the week is, sometimes it's okay to just be easy and teach people something simple that they may not know yet, rather than trying to have to break the mold every time and, be super innovative and cutting edge, because not everyone is there. And if, the people down here, need to hear about what you're doing to get to that point. And then it could just be a nice, easy breezy talk for you. And you can be spreading the joy and the WordPress love. And also, that's my tip. Yep.
I agree with you on that, because if you're somebody, I did a talk where it was super basic how to use the dashboard in WordPress. And the one that blew people's minds is when you go up there and you click on screen up in the corner, and then you drop down, you show all the things you can turn on and off.
What?
People were just like, what the heck is that?
I never knew that was there.
So I had some lady walk up to me and say, thank you. I am so tired of seeing all those ads on the dashboard that I got to make them all disappear. And I was like, well, good for you.
You said something that is so basic to you and so obvious.
Yeah.
You're like, here's a tour of the dashboard. But the people who are coming to this conference, or, whether it's a meetup or a WordCamp, whatever, they need that information and they don't have it. So the stuff that's super obvious and then low pressure, you could do that without a slide deck. You could just pull up the thing and be like, here it is. You can answer questions on the fly. No problem. You would be really engaging, and you would make a slide deck. I know, but
you know what I did is I held my hands up, and then the cursor on the screen started zooming around, clicking on things, and people were just like, "What are you doing? What kind of magic are you doing here?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's just doing its thing. I'm going to explain it while it's doing it."
Yeah,
as you do.
That. But
actually, I have a plug. So following on top of what Say just said, if you want to do a Gutenberg demonstration to beginners, to users in particular, a lot of people want that, because not everybody has been able to. Not everybody has made the leap from Gutenberg, and for some people, it's very intimidating, and they don't know where to start.
Search for boxes.
So, yeah.
They only go with the boxes that are the first few boxes. They don't know what do these other boxes do.
I'll go to that talk.
If you want to do that, if you want to do a Gutenberg, a very brand new intro 101A to Gutenberg,
come on down.
You're welcome to apply. That would be great.
I think Say's misunderstanding me. I said I'll go to that talk so I can learn how to use Gutenberg. I'm not teaching anybody Gutenberg. That is not the thing I need to be teaching people.
Gutenberg's actually really fun. This is the thing. I know there's a lot of compatibility problems, but maybe this is my other tool tip of the week. Hey, use WordPress Gutenberg editor. Use the block editor. Switch away from it. Unblock the classic editor. Take off all your disabled Gutenberg and actually play with it, because it's actually kind of fun, and it's fun to move things around. It's easier for the user. You can cut and paste real easy from Google Docs. And there are a lot of cool blocks. I'll give one more plug. I actually have this. If you are using Gutenberg, see, I have stuff. I just did. My favorite plugin for Gutenberg is called Atomic Blocks. And it adds some really basic business blocks that should totally be in core anyway. but like a call to action and advanced columns, which will allow you to do like a 2/3 column and a 1/3 column, and a profile box that just pops up where you can just do. It's so easy. So it's called Atomic Block, and it's like a super, it's a free plugin, and it's a gimme on Gutenberg. You should use it because it's really well made. It's really clean. It integrates great. That's my cool tip of the week.
Awesome. So let's go through real quick. The place we have like 10 minutes left on the show here. Where could we?
3 minutes.
We started late and I totally missed it. But
I'm so confused by what's happening.
I'm so sorry. I thought I didn't look at the corner of the screen where it tells us we have 50 minutes into the show, and we totally started everything way too early. But real quick, how do people sign up?
That I have to talk more?
Well, yeah, but I know it's so weird. How do people sign up for to actually speak at the WordCamp? And how are you guys looking at that information and determining who should actually be a speaker?
Well, this weekend, me, Alex Vasquez, Sarah Weefald, and another member of our team, Ara Gopian, who, random fun fact, dated my roommate in college.
What?
Yeah, did
no
you know
way! I didn't know that. I knew you went to college at the same time. I didn't know that, though.
Isn't that random as hell? That's all random.
No.
So random.
That's really weird.
Yeah, like 2000 or something. Literally like year 2000, actually. Or 2001.
Crazy.
Anyway, so we are going to hop on a little Zoom call. I've blocked out all the names. So if you put in your app and we think it's great or terrible, it's not because of you. There's no bios, there's no names. We're judging only on the description. We got one description that literally had 3 words in it. So that one's not passing. What is that? I don't know what that is. I'm like, is this a joke? I don't know if this is a joke or not. I don't think it's a joke. But anyway, so we're going to look at those, and we're really trying to put together these tracks. So we're going to try to find some basic ones, and then we're going to put some ones together for professionals. And then I'm really excited about what we're putting together for Sunday. We've had some really great people apply who I've sought out to apply for that. So some of those I do know that people I haven't read their applications yet, but I have asked them to apply. But we're still going to look at it blind without names first. So I'm hoping that those stand out so I don't have to reject a bunch of people who I asked to apply. But that's the process. So it's going to be a blind process. We're going to talk about the talks. Fun fact, we have gotten a lot of talks about accessibility, which seems to be the popular topic du jour. However, we cannot have 5 talks about accessibility. So if we have a plethora of talks like that, we might actually just put a panel together. I'm a big fan of panels because you get to learn a lot from people, and it's not just one viewpoint on the topic, you know? So we'll maybe put some panels together. Also, I find panels really interesting in terms of like breaking up the day where you're not just listening to one person talk all day. So maybe some panels. Even on Saturday, we might do some panels. I don't follow the rules. So that's our basic framework for choosing speakers. And then I think next week we're going to be notifying folks. I don't know what Chris knows. She's enforcing.
I know. What did she say?
I said she enforces the deadlines.
I do. I ping people all the time. I'm like, how are you doing? Where is
She's
it?
the PM, huh?
I do my food budget, just as a side note, but I have that.
I sort of actually, well, just look at the budget link I sent you. Just look at what I did. So people actually message me or email or whatever they do, and they're like, hey, Chris, have you seen my application? And I'm like, I don't know. Your name's been blocked out. It's definitely... Also, I'm not on the speaker selection committee, so I'm mostly present out of curiosity, but I'm not like a speaker wrangler. So if you go to our website, 2019.longbeach.wordcamp.org, and on the homepage, like Jason just showed you a couple minutes ago, you'll see all the little buttons. We have tons of volunteer applications and speaker apps, and we're pretty set, but if you want to apply, go ahead.
Yeah, we always need more speaker apps.
Yeah.
About the topics we discussed tonight.
I may or may not be submitting one right now.
Yay! submit whatever you want. I'm not picking them. I'm not. But please go ahead and say will be write to her. You know, don't write to me.
I will be the judgment.
So please
make sure your grammar's right. No.
Yeah, please also if you have really long paragraphs, it's okay to break them up. You don't have to send us like 3 pages of a single column of paragraph. You could punctuation is great. I love punctuation.
Oh, I didn't punctuate. Sorry.
You know, it's just
it was one run-on sentence. Sorry.
No, I'm kidding. But basically, yeah, like you just go to the homepage. You'll see the button right there. And if you click on the apply to speak button or whatever that button's called, it'll take you to the post where there's more information. So if you go and you read that post that Say wrote, it'll give you lists of sample topics and when they might happen, and everything's there for you. You can peruse our site. We have tons on there. So everything from like, where do you want to visit when you're in town, to how do you apply to sponsor and what are the sponsor levels? You know, we've got 3 tiers and then there's a micro sponsor level. So
I love that you submitted while we're talking.
Yeah, you know, if I can.
Just for the record though, the next thing we're going to start to market is the camp itself.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited about that because once we put these speakers together, then it's going to be like, here's our lineup, and now you want to come to this and hear what these speakers have to say, especially for Sunday, if you're a WordPresser person. That we're going to have some really interesting talks for that, I'm hoping. And that is going to be our next marketing push. So that's going to be actually promoting the camp and getting people to come to the camp, which is in the ground floor of the pyramid of Long Beach.
You totally appropriated all of Las Vegas onto.
Las Vegas can't be appropriated. It is appropriated.
You stole their pyramid, darn it.
Appropriated the appropriator. Well, actually, fun fact, that pyramid is one of only 3 pyramids in the United States.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Wow.
I think it's 3.
Huh.
Definitely a single digit. I will find out that. Chris is like on Google right now. She's like, verifying you? I don't know what you're talking about. But it's a really cool big pyramid. It's actually a gym where all the sports things happen. But it's right next to parking. We're going to be eating lunch on the lawn. It's going to be super fun, and obviously the after party is going to be amazing. That's going to be in downtown Long Beach. So even if you're not speaking, which we've been pushing really hard, we really want you to come to the camp and engage in the camp. And that'll be our next push, where we're like trying to get. There's not a ton of tickets. It's actually
there's not that many.
Venue, so it's like 170 people.
There's 170 general attendee tickets that we can sell outside of, like, obviously if you're a sponsor, speaker, volunteer, organizer, you go, but there's only 170 we can sell, including the micro sponsor tickets.
Yeah.
There's not that many.
It's going to be a limited thing. I don't know if Chris, you didn't mention this in this talk, but we have also budgeted for a professional AV team. So we will not be broadcasting live, but we will be recording all of the talks, and we are committed to getting those up on WordPress TV and having good sound, and we have someone who's going to be editing them. So that is going to hopefully be a quick turnover. So that's not to say that you shouldn't come to the camp, because you absolutely should, for the conversation, for the party, and to participate. But it's not going to be the end of it. It will continue to live in perpetuity. I know a lot of camps haven't really invested in the WordPress TV thing lately. But we are. So
yeah, awesome. That was a big emphasis even from the beginning. This is what we wanted.
Yep.
Cool. Well, I want to say thank you very much for you two to come hang out with me. I really appreciate it. Bridget appreciates it as well. And thank you very much for taking the time out to come out and talk about, WordCamp Long Beach, and talk about how to do social media with it. And we talked about all sorts of really fun things with that. So
zines. I didn't think that was going to happen, but
we talked about zines. We need to talk about Raging Against Machines next, and then we're good, right?
Yeah.
All right, folks. Thank you very much. Go over to our website over at WPwatercooler.com/subscribe, where you can learn to subscribe. You look like that guy that looks over the fence on.
Yeah, that's what I
on Home
Yeah.
Improvement.
Improvement.
Oh, Wilson.
Oh man, that's funny. I should have thought about all that before while I was making these graphics. But go over to WPwatercooler.com/subscribe. You can subscribe to 2 different things, or rather 3 different things over there. One, you can subscribe to WPwatercooler. WPwatercooler. You can also subscribe to WPblab, both as video as well as audio on both of those. And lastly, if you want to be involved in this show or over on WP Watercooler show, which I send out every week, which will be tonight, you can you'll get an email letting you know that we're doing that. So anyhow, thank you very much. Talk to y'all later.
Out. I don't know what we're going to talk about tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye.